what are your top three MVP candidates?
So everyone has the same three, essentially. It's been talked about consistently on every big news media and all that stuff. But I do differ from the big three that they have because I have Joel Embiid as my number three,
Wow.
Nikola Jokic as my number two, and my number one is DeMar
Oh
DeRozan.
my God. Okay. Um, I too am deviating from the three, and I have the same three. But as much as I love DeMar DeRozan, I have it in the exact flipped order for you. I have DeMar three, Nikola Jokic two, and Joel Embiid one. Um, I I thought I was going out on a limb having DeMar three, but I'm pleasantly surprised to see you have him as number one. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, man, like you can make a legitimate argument for him. Like MV, I don't know if we just want to get into DeMar now, or what do you
yeah.
want to
Let's just go
do
straight into
DeMar now?
DeMar.
Because MVP is based off not only stats but based off team success. And DeMar DeRozan is the number one seed in the Eastern
Yes,
Conference and is averaging 28 a game on uh, really good percentages, and he's making 35% of his threes this year.
yeah,
Like, if you
it's
just take
crazy.
away the name, you look at those numbers, you look that he's in the one seed. Any other year, that's a serious top three, top two MVP candidate.
Yeah, and in my opinion, like if it wasn't for narratives that are just like assisting this whole, oh man, the big men are back. That's kind of the narrative the NBA is pushing with, Giannis being the conventional third, number three pick for MVP. Like that's the whole NBA is pushing it because Giannis is a center, Embiid's a center, and Jokic is a center. But DeMar DeRozan is the guy. He broke a Wilt Chamberlain record for most 35 points and like what was it, 9 rebound games in a row. He has the most now in all NBA. It's a DeMar DeRozan record now. He's shooting over 51% from the field. He's shooting 86% from the free throw line. He's scoring 28 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And in the last month, he's averaging 34.4 points with 6 rebounds and 5.9 assists on even better percentages at 56.7%
Yeah.
from the field and 89% from the free throw line. He's shooting Shaq-like percentages. Like that's how good he's shooting. And with Steph Curry, like free throw percentages, like it's crazy how good
Yeah.
and efficient he's been. And his team has had injuries. Zach
Mhm.
LaVine's been out. Zach LaVine had his knee drained at a specialist. How much weeks has Lonzo Ball missed now? The wrist injury caused him what, a 6 to 8 week, or that might be Alex Caruso. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
They both missed 6 to 8 weeks. Derek Jones Jr. himself has missed six to like almost a month now. Vucevic wasn't playing great at the start of the season.
Mhm.
DeMar DeRozan has been that consistent guy for the Bulls.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the Bulls are like a fourth, fifth seed. They're the first seed.
Mhm.
So it's not out of the realm to give him the award. He's higher than the guy that people have as like the odds on favorite to win, which is Embiid. He has a higher seed than them.
Mhm.
And his team and Joel Embiid's team has James Harden now, has Tyrese Maxey playing at a near all-star level, has Tobias Harris scoring nearly 20 points a game. You know what I mean? So it's not like Joel Embiid has no help. So I'm going with the guy who has comparable stats, doing it on equivalent efficiency, and has the higher seed. It's a case to make. I think DeMar DeRozan should firmly be in this conversation.
It's a legitimate case, and like when we did this last time, we both, I think we had him just outside our top three. We're saying, it's so nice to see him playing this well, but like realistically, like this is probably like the high point for him of the season, and he's
Yeah.
gone in the complete opposite direction of
He's,
what we thought. He's
yeah.
only getting better as the weeks go by. He had the best week of his career by far this
Yeah.
past week, like you mentioned, and he another interesting side with him. He leads the league in fourth quarter points by
Yep.
quite a big margin. He's 55 points more than Giannis, who's the next highest scoring fourth quarter scorer in the NBA. So these are not empty stats, obviously. He's winning games, like we said, first seed. And this is like the first time. I mean, he was always the Raptor teams he was on were good. The Spurs teams weren't so good.
Yeah.
But this is the first time he's playing with this much spacing, this much scoring around him, and maybe that's just all he needed his whole career. And he would have been doing things like this if other teams surrounded him with that kind of talent.
Yeah. And it's clear that he's learned and evolved his game. And people
Yeah.
be like, the common evolution everyone wanted to take in his game was add a 3-point shot. But instead of adding a 3-point shot, which he kind of has, he's shooting 35%. So he can
Yeah.
hit it when they count and if he needs to. But I'm
Yeah.
saying the thing he added to his game was his playmaking.
Yeah.
He has become an elite level wing playmaker, just short of like LeBron, like DeMar DeRozan's right up there. Like the passes he can make and the difficulty of passes he can make are crazy, and the difficulty of shots he takes too. Like when we're just here, like the mid range, step back fadeaways, the just the, anything. Like he makes such difficult shots, and he just reminds me of a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. This is the season that's living up to that comparison, living up to that skill set. And in my opinion, this is one of those seasons where if the NBA wasn't running such a strong narrative of centers are back, you know what I mean? Like Philadelphia 76ers are like the most talked about team in the league right now. If there wasn't such a strong narrative right now, I really think DeMar DeRozan would be 1 or 2 in the league with this award.
Yeah, the only reason I have those two centers over him is honestly just because of the situations that they're playing in on their team. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I could read off Embiid's stats. Like he's 29.7 a game, 11 boards, 4.5 assists, close to 50% from the field, and close to 40% from three, 38% from three. And he's doing that without Ben Simmons the whole season, right? Until now he has Harden, obviously. So maybe that changes things the way the rest of the season goes.
Yeah.
But just the way he took over that team, he's leading the league with 5.3 points per game in the clutch. Like he just kind of single-handedly willed that team to where they are. Same with Jokic. His team is even worse. Like you look at a team, like the depth chart that he's been playing with, and the numbers he's putting up, the efficiency got better. That's the only reason I have it. But it could totally be DeMar DeRozan if you just forgot about the narrative.
If there's only 3 scenarios, it's either DeMar DeRozan if you want to just give it to the best seed, because they all have comparable stats, right?
Yeah.
It's Nikola Jokic if you want to give it to, if you want to look around the team and see whoever has the least amount of help. And it's Joel Embiid if you want to just factor into defense massively and say he's the best two-way player this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just those 3 narratives. I went with the seeding. You factored in defense. And I know a lot of advanced stats guys are going to factor in Nikola Jokic's lack of help and him having a similar record to Joel Embiid and DeMar DeRozan. He's only like 1.5 behind the 76ers and like 3.5 behind the Bulls. So like,
something like that.
He's not too far off from being right there with the 76ers in record wise. So it's either that. It's either you go most wins, DeMar DeRozan, least amount of help, Nikola Jokic, and defense, Joel Embiid. I don't think really Giannis. I think Giannis is the clear 4 out of these guys, just because he has a little bit of everything, but he has the most help by far. Like I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. Like if you ask me, you know what I mean, to rank him, like I'd rank him above those 3. But he has the most help, and he just doesn't have an MVP campaign this year. I think he's also getting like a LeBron MJ treatment where they only want a couple and kind of voter fatigue. So yeah, I don't think Giannis is really in there. But I think these next 3 guys are going to be talked about a lot coming the next couple months.
Agreed. And it's whether you have Embiid 1, Jokic 2, whatever, like it's very, very close. And we still have, a good chunk of season to go. And like you said, Harden is now playing with Embiid and the Bulls are facing some injury trouble, right? So if DeMar DeRozan keeps this up, suddenly that narrative with the help could swing in his favor too. And we could see him shoot up, especially if he keeps putting up numbers like he's been putting up the last week. It's just ridiculous. And
let's say the Nuggets go on a win streak and he actually ends up with a higher record than the 76ers. If the Nuggets get the 4th seed, it's a lock. Like there's no debate. Like this is Jokic's award. Like right now he just doesn't have the 4th seed, so I'm giving it to DeMar DeRozan. But if he gets the 4th seed, it's a lock. Like there's no debate.
Agreed.
It's no question.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think he'll get the 4th seed. I know MPJ is rumored to return on March. They just said mid-March, so he's coming back around then. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun end to the race. And even if, let's say, Giannis goes on a huge win streak, gets the number 1 seed by a decent margin from the rest of them, he's gonna be the MVP favorite, right? Yeah. It's just those 4 guys, they're neck and neck. They're all like if you say any of those 4 guys, you have an argument to make and you can't be considered wrong.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms, and follow us on Instagram.